Good morning. Thank you all very much for joining me this morning after a long night and a long few months for all of us. Yesterday, Scotland, like London and Northern Ireland, voted overwhelmingly to remain in the European Union. We voted to protect our place in the world's biggest single market and the jobs and investment that depend on it. We voted to safeguard our freedom to travel, live, work and study in other European countries. And we voted to renew our reputation as an outward-looking, open and inclusive country. It is significant, in my view, that we did so after a campaign that was positive about the EU and about the benefits of migration. Indeed, I want to take the opportunity this morning to speak directly to citizens of other European countries living here in Scotland. You remain welcome here. Scotland is your home and your contribution is valued. Unfortunately, of course, yesterday's result in Scotland was not echoed across the whole of the United Kingdom. The UK-wide vote to leave the EU is one that I deeply regret. It remains my passionate belief that it is better for all parts of the UK to be members of the European Union. But the vote across England and Wales was a rejection of the EU, and it was a sign of divergence between Scotland and large parts of the rest of the UK and how we see our place in the world. But this vote wasn't just about the EU. It was also a clear expression of the disaffection with the political system that is felt in too many communities. Communities taken for granted by Labour for generations and punished with austerity cuts by the Tories for a financial crisis they didn't cause, used this referendum to make their voices heard. The Westminster establishment has some serious soul-searching to do, and I hope very much that it now does it. But as First Minister of Scotland, I have a duty to respond not just to the outcome across the UK, but also and in particular to the democratic decision taken by the people of Scotland. As things stand, Scotland faces the prospect of being taken out of the EU against our will. I regard that as democratically unacceptable. And of course, we face that prospect less than 2 years after being told that it was our own referendum on independence that would end our membership of the European Union and that only a rejection of independence could protect it. Indeed, for many people, the supposed guarantee of remaining in the EU was a driver in their decision to vote to stay within the UK. So there is no doubt that yesterday's result represents a significant and a material change of the circumstances in which Scotland voted against independence in 2014. My job now is to act responsibly and in the interests of all of Scotland, and that is what I intend to do. The Cabinet will meet tomorrow morning to discuss our next steps in more detail, but I want to set out now some immediate priorities. Firstly, we have an urgent job to do to provide as much reassurance and certainty as we can. I spoke a short while ago to the Governor of the Bank of England to discuss his plans to reassure the markets and restore financial stability. Starting this afternoon, ministers will be engaged. The option of a second referendum must be on the table, and it is on the table. Clearly, though, there are many discussions to be had before final decisions can be taken. It would not be right to rush to judgment ahead of discussions on how Scotland's result will be responded to by the EU. However, when the Article 50 process is triggered in 3 months' time, the UK will be on a 2-year path to the EU exit door. If Parliament judges that a second referendum is the best or only way to protect our place in Europe, it must have the option to hold one within that timescale. That means we must act now to protect that position. I can therefore confirm today that in order to protect that position, we will begin to prepare the legislation that would be required to enable a new independence referendum to take place if and when Parliament so decides.